I thought I would share this solution I came up with just in case you guys might have this issue sometime. This is a single server brewer, and it takes those, like the Keurig, it takes those little cups that you put in. It's not, now this isn't a Keurig. I bought this at, you stick those in there. Like I said, the more expensive Keurigs. But I only paid $30 for this at Walmart. I've had this about 13 months. And I hadn't used this, for maybe about a month or so. And when I went to use it the other day, even though the container was full of water, it wouldn't fire up. And the way this is, if it doesn't sense water, it'll start to heat and then it'll just stop. And that's what it was doing, even though I had water up to here. Now I always use bottled water like this. I have well water and it is very drinkable, but it does have in its can, if you're using, especially if you're using it and cooking with it, it can leave deposits over time, like in a kettle or in a pan. So like I said, I just use this kind of water then, and would always use it in this unit. One thing I'll point out here before I go any further is what I've done here is my non-dairy creamer, I like to measure it. I give it 2 of these level scoops for each cup. And so what I did is I just took a stainless steel bolt with a nylock nut, and just, it's a 3/16 diameter, and I just drilled a hole in here, and it's well above the water level so it can never leak, and that allows me to hang my little measure there, and it's always available. So if you see that and you wonder what the hell is that doing there, you'll know why. So, not knowing what's going on, I thought, let me take this thing apart and see what's going on. So I literally took this thing apart at the base down here, and I'll show you what I did. Now the first thing I thought of is the water going through, because it has to go through here into here, then through the unit. So I pushed up on this valve here, which mates with something in here, and water flowed. So I knew water was flowing through here freely. The next thing I did was look into that port, and there's like a little screen in there, and you'll see like where there's a cross. You'll see where they have that cross that goes like this and this, and then that white thing that's like a screen. And I noticed some stuff on there, so I thought, well, so I used this very small needle nose pliers and very carefully stuck that in there and just gently rocked it back and forth and pulled out that screen. And I noticed some little deposits, I don't know what you would call it, and I used my air compressor and blew that off. Now the first thing I actually did was run it backwards, turn it upside down and run it backwards with water. And there were still some little deposits, or I don't know what you'd call it, and then I took shop air, very gently blew it out under very low pressure. You could probably almost put it in your mouth and blow on the opposite direction and do the same thing. Now after doing that, I tried to fire it up and it still didn't work. So I had to go further. So here, guys, you see that I've taken the bottom off. There was multiple screws that I had to take out. Some here, here, and here. And then the ones that would be in the base that you see there. So when I did that, I kind of looked around. I thought, well, I need to take this apart further because I need to get underneath here and look at it. So I had it all apart. I looked at it and didn't really see anything I could do down there. So I didn't know whether it was electronics here, but there really wasn't much I could do back up in here. And so I put this back together, and left the bottom unscrewed. I just put it on there but did not anchor it down, but everything else here is fastened down. And so I wasn't sure what to do at that point. So at this point I still had that little filter out of the back of this. Okay, units may be different at Keurig, but there's probably going to be a little bit of a filter, and just see how you take that out. So that was still out. And up in here you have this arrangement here. This punctures the cup, and you have this hole here. So water is pumped up through here, and via this hole, once it's closed, because there's a seal there, goes through here, is pumped up into here. Then this, once it obviously punctures the cup, then that is what brings the flow. When it punctures, that will bring the flow of water down through the cup after it's been heated through the unit, because I could see the thermocouple and stuff down here, the heating elements. And then obviously it brings it down into where there's the bottom. It's not on, screwed on. And then that's where then it brings it down into here, into your cup. So knowing that I probably wasn't going to get this thing fixed, I thought, what could I look at? I thought, well, since there was a little bit of that stuff in that filter, I thought, what if there's some stuff down in this unit? So I use this, and I've got multiple different kinds of air guns. This is one of my favorites though, and I did a review of this system, the Capri system, but you can use anything that has a rubber tip. This is the secret. So using low air pressure, turn it down. You don't need it very high, okay, from your air compressor. And you could use anything that pushes air that you can connect to, whether you use a quick coupler, screw it in. You know, it doesn't take a lot of air. So if you have something that pumps up tires that you can attach this to, that would work. So the first thing I did, and you got to have the rubber tip. Now this may not push in here all the way now because I've got that strainer in there. But what I did is stuck it in there all the way down. The rubber tip seals. Then I turned on the air, okay, and did whatever that might do. And when I blew in here, you're going to get air out of here. And I actually did pull this. It's just a little, it comes off real easy. In this particular unit, it's like a silicone seal. But when you blow in here, what you're doing is it's going through the system, through the tube work and everything, and then ultimately, there's that base again, you got to screw that down, and then ultimately what happens is once it goes through the system down in here, the coils and such, it comes up here. So when I blew that, it blew air out of here. And so I thought, okay, that's good. Return that seal. Now the next thing I did was take the same air tool, air nozzle, again, being the fact that it is with that rubber tip, it seals. I stuck it up in here like this, turned it on, then I got some kind of deposits out of here. So it was almost as if this was blocking the flow of water. So anyways, I did that, and I thought, well, let me turn the thing on and see what happens. So what I'm going to do now is put my last screw in so I don't have to worry about this base keep falling off. There was only 4 screws in this base. Here, 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 and here. The inside had multiple other screws, and it had, actually there was like 3 different kind of bits that I needed to take this thing apart. One of them was actually a security bit. They don't want you to get into here, I guess. Well, I'm at it. One thing I would recommend, I have multitudes of different kinds of specialty screwdrivers, all kinds, because you never know what kind of a project you're going to run into that requires specialty bits and small bits. So, like I said, it's if you're going to do some projects like this, you always want to have a good selection of small bits, tooling, and various types of ends. Last thing I need to do is put my last little plug in here where the feet are, and now we're good to go. Okay, I've got it full of water. Let's see what happens. There it is. So that's all it appeared to be. So I went through all that trouble taking it apart, really for nothing, not really knowing. So I thought, well, I would share this just in case you guys ever had that problem. The main thing is just go ahead and look at the, make sure that you have a good throughput if you have water in that container in the back. If it's got the water, because if it doesn't have water, like I said, this unit, and the Keurigs might be the same, they will act like they're going to start and then they stop. You know, it won't work because there's no water. So just check to see if the flow of water at the different ports by using that tool, that air tool with the rubber tip on it, because that'll help seal the port, and any air that goes through can't escape. It's got to go in one direction. So hopefully this was helpful, and maybe you'll never have that problem. But if you do, this should take care of it.